It is a typical dead-end industrial street that terminates in a cul-de-sac at the gates of Mary's Kitchen. But to the homeless, who are tired and hungry, gathered together in the early morning hours, waiting for the gates to open, it is an oasis. This stretch of industrial road, known as Struck Avenue in the city of Orange, for the homeless, is more than just a pathway to a meal. The homeless trek here on a daily basis, either by foot, by bicycle, by any means necessary, to get to Mary's Kitchen and connect with the services that Mary's provides. This is perhaps the last safe place in Orange County for the homeless to come and connect with these services. Services such as mail distribution, showers, phone charging, referrals, but most importantly, they come here to connect with community. The history of Mary's Kitchen runs deep in the bloodlines of Orange County, and the city of Orange in particular. It is the one and only multi-service relief center for the homeless the city has allowed to exist within its municipal borders.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Hey, can I ask you, are you a regular here at Mary's Kitchen?
I am. I actually volunteer here also.
Are you formally or presently a homeless person?
I am a homeless person, yes.
At the present time?
Yes,
Yeah. So are you living on the street somewhere?
yes, in Buena Park.
In Buena Park. Can I ask you, you frequent Mary's Kitchen quite often, maybe daily,
Yes.
as many folks here do. What does Mary's Kitchen mean to you? What has it meant to you in terms of surviving on the street?
Well, it's hard to sum it all up, but most importantly, they give us dignity here. They give us a good meal. Gloria gives us all a lot of love and personal care. They give us a shower so we can be clean every day. They give us a place to be safe and nobody judges. The community here that we have is priceless. You can't get that anywhere. You can't buy that. You gotta get it right here. And the community that we all have, we're tight here. And we know that we have love here every day when you come. And we know that we have Gloria here that loves us all and takes care of us as far as emotionally too. Anything we need to talk to her about, she's always there for us.
What would happen to you personally if Mary's Kitchen closed, as it is scheduled to do this month?
We'd all be screwed. Not just all of us, not just me, everybody. Because this is where everybody comes to take showers. We eat here, we shower here. I mean, we spend half the day here. I mean, and if we're not here, where else would we be but out on the street? I mean, people don't want us here, but yet we're not here. If we're not here, we're going to be out there, and they're not going to like it.
If there hadn't been a Mary's Kitchen here today, after being rolled up out there on the street, what would your life be like?
I wouldn't have anything.
So Mary's Kitchen
It's a godsend.
is something, I guess, a safety net for you.
It's a godsend.
Okay, thank you very much.
Here. You stop it. Stop it.
I work at Waste Management.
Okay, start
I
over.
work for Mary's Kitchen. I gotta eat here, take a shower, wash my clothes. If I was for Waste Management, this one wouldn't go around. So thank you for listening to me. This is from Mary's Kitchen, man. Thank you.
You do work full time?
Every night, man, at Waste Management.
Yeah, but I take it you're homeless?
Yes, I'm homeless.
Okay.
One from Mary's Kitchen, I wouldn't be surviving. So we need Mary's Kitchen. Don't close Mary's Kitchen.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You must be aware that Mary's Kitchen is in danger of going away.
Right.
What has Mary's Kitchen meant to you
You're asking me how
as a
valuable,
homeless person?
how valuable Mary's Kitchen is for me? Clothes day. Look at what I'm wearing. I got new shorts, new shirt. I got new socks on. It's a place to go to network. I had to get my bike worked on. It's right behind me. The guy's working on my bike. Another homeless guy. He went out and got the parts for me that I needed, and he's putting my bike together. So this is going to be a real good day for me. I mean, Mary's Kitchen has definitely been here for so long. The reason they're here is the identical reason why they're saying they should go. I mean, they put Mary's Kitchen here because they didn't like the riffraff in the park. Okay, and so we'll put it in an industrial area right down the street from the police department. What better more could you ask for? But now that's not good enough either. And we got it. I don't know, politics, whatever it is, but this is something that, you know, a lot of good people put their heart and soul into.
So do you feel you wouldn't have gotten this far without Mary's Kitchen?
I don't know where I'd have been. I do. I'd probably been in jail. Tell you the truth. I mean, you know, serious, because this place is a quiet place to come all day long where you're not getting harassed by the cops out there on the streets. And then when you sit down, you can go to the bathroom here. You can't even go to the bathroom out there anymore right now because of the coronavirus. It's so bad. I mean, you can't sit down nowhere. They took all the bus benches out because the homeless, whatever. But what about the poor old other old people that are innocent? You know, they're, you know, I don't act hurt, but, you know, I worked hard for 35 years. Let me tell you, I get sore, you know, have bad days.
So Mary's Kitchen
It's
is
a safe place to come for 5-6 hours a day every day. Okay, when you're homeless, it's safe here.
You said something earlier that kind of was interesting.
Oh, that God has his eyes on this place?
Yeah.
He does, because I see it being blessed. I know that. I can see it. So, because something like this wouldn't keep going on if he didn't want it to. So, trust me. This is the kind of people that he talks about in the Bible. You know, so people like us, orphans, you know, widows, and stuff like that. The poor, homeless, hungry, you know, sick. You know, so we're the ones. So he has his eyes on us.
Do you think God is going to protect Mary's Kitchen?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. He won't let anything happen. I don't think so. No.
Your life would be shaken, would be certainly different
Absolutely.
without a Mary's Kitchen.
Absolutely, very much so. This is so important to this whole community. I wish that some of the residents would understand the importance of this place and know if this thing were to go away that their life might be impacted as well. Might have more homeless at the parks and more homeless at panhandling and such, you know. So
Certainly around in this area.
certainly around this area for sure. Yeah. So I just really hope that they could reconsider the stance that they pose for us and allow us to continue our operation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The city has no emergency shelter, no other food bank or placement services of its own. Mary's Kitchen stands alone in Orange, serving a homeless population in crisis. And it does so without financial burden to the city beyond a $1 per year lease of the city's property it sits on. Now, that property is being ripped out from under Mary's Kitchen in mid-contract by the City of Orange with a current termination notice served on the nonprofit and its respected leader, Gloria Cease, protege to the woman who started it all, Mary McAnena.
And then what do? Where are they supposed to stand for the 2 hours before you can come in? And by that time, they need to come in and use the restroom. That's why we let them come in and use the restroom and go back out. But
Which is a huge deal.
it is a huge deal. And
deal.
it solves a lot of problems
does.
that would happen outside the gate.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It is, in fact, outside the gate where most of the friction between the City of Orange and Mary's Kitchen occurs, stoked by a constant police presence that instills fear on the street leading up to Mary's Gate. As the homeless make their way up Struck Avenue towards Mary's Kitchen, they are often confronted by Orange police, operating under the presumption that many of the homeless on their way to Mary's represent a, quote, criminal element. Mary's Kitchen staff do not inquire about the criminal status of its patrons. What they know for sure is all that enter her gates are hungry, tired, and in need of a safe place to rest.
Okay, talking to Mary Beth Graham,
Hello.
affiliated with Mary's Kitchen.
Yes.
And a very close confidant of Gloria,
Yep.
who is the CEO and president of Mary's Kitchen.
Yes.
So, Mary Beth, in your mind, you've been here every day for, oh, God knows how long.
I
Certainly-
started coming in 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
That's certainly enough time to get an impression
Yes.
of who your clientele is.
Yes.
We are told in the moving letter, the termination letter by the City of Orange, that the folks now frequenting Mary's Kitchen are, well, let's say what the city calls them, the criminal element.
That's what they
would
said.
be your response to that? Do you feel on a day-to-day basis, you see the folks that come through that gate out there, who is coming to Mary's Kitchen?
Well, obviously the first word that would come to mind is homeless. But they're people. They're a slice of life that nobody seems to want to deal with. I feel like the City of Orange is kind of kicking the can down the road, so to speak. But most of our guests are not criminals. They're not drug addicts. They're not all mentally ill. Of course, some people are, and we deal with them with kindness and caring and the resources that we have available to us. But no, that's not a true statement. Not at all. I do not feel that way. It's not true. We have people that are simply down and out, that need a good meal, that need some kindness. They need caring. They need a shower. They want to get their laundry done. This is a community here, and it's a pretty big deal to the people that come in through those gates. They need us, and frankly, we need them. It's a very, very important slice, and I'm really, really proud to be able to be part of it.
The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. As always, we're just blessing and praising the Lord, and we ask that you bless everyone at Mary's Kitchen on both sides of the table, and he keeps us safe and kind, forgiving of one another, and obeying the rules. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen.
Cat food. A lot of homeless have dogs and cats, so we provide dog food and cat food for the homeless that need this too. And so there's a big batch of it today. Places like Target contribute Tide. We get to wash their clothes whenever they want here. So this helps also. And then we make another run.
Barry, if I could just catch up with you
Sure,
for just a
sure.
half a minute here. You, Mary Beth, a number of others involved with Mary's Kitchen have been, well, you know, you've been on the front line here at Mary's Kitchen for a long time. You've been driving that truck, picking up food, important stocks of food to feed everybody on a daily basis, 6 days a week, right?
Yeah.
You see a lot of folks come and go. You've got a pretty good idea who your clientele is, I think, right? Who are the folks that you see on a day-to-day basis here at Mary's Kitchen?
Well, it's very, very, very complicated. I started doing this about 2.5 years ago. When I came into this, I had the feelings of naivety like some of the city council members and the city officials, whereby you could put these guys in 2 boxes or 3 boxes. It doesn't work like that. It's very, very complicated. Some of these folks, they go into shelters, they last 2 or 3 days, they're ornery, former vets, they don't like rules. Others have addiction problems which do need help, and we understand that. We get to supply them help. But there's always going to be that part of the society that doesn't want to be indoors. And they have to survive every single day looking for food. This is a place where they can get that food. They can get fellowship. You saw Gloria leading in a prayer every morning, every afternoon, and the prayer is different every day. And it's very spontaneous, it's heartfelt, it's not routine. It's a new day, it's a new prayer. The people here need help, and then they come here and they get support. One story comes to my mind. A gentleman here, he said without Mary's, he would be sitting on a park bench every day. So he comes here, and he gets a bus pass, and he gets here and he comes to work. And he gives him a purpose, something to do for 6 days a week. That 7th day, he sits on a park bench all day long on a Sunday. He said, if Mary's is not here, you're going to sit on that park bench 7 days a week, and you're going to go back to heroin. And unfortunately, out in the marketplace, there's fentanyl too.
You here at Mary's Kitchen, everyone, of course, has to come through those gates out front. You don't actually vet who comes through those gates. You're not really trying to weed people out, I take it. You sort of take all comers, is that right?
Everybody that needs a meal. Everybody wants to be part of the community here. Yeah, we don't turn away anybody.
Do you have problems here at Mary's Kitchen inside here? I mean, it's kind of a fishbowl. I mean, with those things you would associate with, quote, a criminal element?
Well, yeah, if there's a fight that breaks out or something happened, Gloria treats them right and says, oh, you can't come inside the gates for a week, a month, 2 months. And that solves a problem, just like anything. You discipline them in a certain way, you know, they show repentance, they come back in.
Yeah. So you alluded to this example or this story that this one fella told you about the park bench that he lives on when he's not at Mary's Kitchen. If Mary's Kitchen gates are locked closed, what do you anticipate will happen for the rest of the homeless who frequent this place?
That's a tough question, because I really don't know. If this is all of a sudden closed, you got about 150 people. They're going to scatter into the community, parks, be on the sidewalk, begging for food. There's going to be a lot more visibility. That's for sure. There's going to be a lot more visibility
on the streets.
They're going to be out there. Yeah, they're going to be on the streets more often.
Yeah. So Patrick Hogan, where are all these, you say 200 or more a day gather here at Mary's Kitchen? Where are they going to go, and what is going to happen to them when the cease and desist order ends?
You know, John, a lot of them, they're just going to be wandering the streets. And they'll go to the parks, and they'll run them off the parks, and they'll run them off the street. And that's when the stress will start to get to them, and that's when they'll pass away. Because they'll have no place to go, no one to talk to, be hounded everywhere they go, and many will die. And that's how they'll die. The older ones will just give in. They don't want to go back to the shelters, and they won't go to shelters. You know, why should they?
Most of them have been already?
Oh, yeah. Almost everybody in here has gone to a shelter. They've either been kicked out for some frivolous thing that they have no due process to combat, or they got kicked out because they complained. If you complain in the shelter, you're out.
So once Mary's actually closed down, those gates closed for the last day, they'll be out there on their own, and you say they'll be more or less picked off on the street?
Yeah. The police will just run them off. And that's what they're salivating at. You know, they can't wait now. Boy, I can't wait till they got no Mayor's Kitchen to go to. Can't hide behind those gates anymore. And they will run everybody ragged. I hate to see it, you know, because there's a community here, and they'll be dispersed once again like they did in the riverbed. That's what they want to see, though. I mean, God forbid the poor actually have some help. This isn't the first time that the City of Orange has tried to divest itself of its uneasy relationship with Mary's Kitchen. When Mary McAnena was 82 years old, she began serving homemade soup to the less fortunate here at Hart Park in Orange. Just up these steps and a stone's throw away from her own home. That was in 1984. As more and more less fortunate came to partake of her soup and her kindness, an alarmed City Hall demanded that she cease and desist her operation, citing that her soup was attracting a criminal element. Mary snapped back. If I cannot serve my boys here, I'll invite them into my own home. The city must have seen the conviction in her eyes. Soon, they negotiated a lease of a small patch of property in the city yard just down Struck Avenue in Orange. 10 years after Mary had begun serving the less fortunate. Back then, Mary called it the heart of the park. Mary passed away 9 years later, but Mary's Kitchen has lived on, under the leadership of Mary's protege, Gloria Cease, who finds herself once again fighting to keep the kitchen open against yet another cease and desist order from the City of Orange, citing the same issues around the same phantom complaints.
Arrest them and then throw them back out. I mean, it's just a nightmare waiting to happen. So this is why.
In recent years, Gloria, along with her staff, have addressed many of those complaints, real or imagined. Mary's Kitchen, at its own cost, has added security personnel at its gate, installed closed-circuit cameras, and at the city's insistence, has minimized the after-hours loitering by patrons outside its gates. Gloria herself has been known to carry a big stick, and when necessary, to discipline unruly individuals inside those gates.
I'll show you. This is my forte. I know how to. That's why I get so many signatures. I'll stand up in front of everybody. Hey, is everyone signed? You know, I make people sign it. You know. Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Yes. Okay, come on, we better get this done.
Where'd that come from?
Oh, you want to see my stick? Here's my stick. You can't. Patrick would be very proud.
Gloria, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
You mentioned earlier buying time was what it was all about.
Well, because we have to have God open the door. Where are we going to go? I don't want to close down until we have a place to go.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to close up the 501(c)(3) or
Are you
anything.
anticipating though that Mary's Kitchen will survive here or elsewhere?
Oh, it'll survive. It'll survive.
You're just not sure where.
Where? Yeah. And it's there's a reason the city wants this land at this time, even though they tell me there are no plans for it. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Are you tied to this piece of ground though? Would it be all right with you if it was somewhere else?
It would all depend. You know, since Mary's is so much a part of Orange, we think that we should probably stay in Orange because that's where Mary's Kitchen is, and that's everybody in the community owns part of Mary's Kitchen because so many volunteers have come through, so many unhoused people have come through. So, Orange is where we should be.
Here on Struck Avenue, Mary's Kitchen has grown and met the challenges of an ever-increasing homeless population coming through its gates, expanding not only its capacity to feed its hungry and provide them with life-supporting amenities, but also attracting numerous community groups and faith-based enterprises with the opportunity to serve so many of the homeless gathered in one place at one time.
Don't drink.
Emergency medical technician Michael Sean Wright and the triage teams of his nonprofit Wound Walk show up early every Thursday to Mary's Kitchen, knowing business will be brisk, treating the many kinds of wounds the homeless are prone to. Having a safe place like Mary's to set up his triage tents, says Michael, is a blessing in itself.
Okay, Michael Sean Wright of Wound Walk, your organization, your nonprofit, perhaps your brainchild. You've been out here working the streets of Orange County, the railroad tracks. We've seen you out here on many different locations. You're here today at Mary's Kitchen. Business looks pretty brisk. Is it like this every day when you come here?
I think with Gloria carrying on the legacy of Mary, people know that they come here, they have a safe place, they can get a meal, they can get a shower, they can get some clothes, and know that they're surrounded with people who love them. So this is an amazing experience for us today. Today we have the UCI nursing medical students here with us today who are assisting us in the field. What we want to do is make sure that our healthcare system is fully informed of what trauma-informed care means. In their careers, they're going to be in a clinical environment. They are going to have some individuals. Our goal here today is to connect the folks that we see here to a primary care physician. The nurses and the doctors need to understand the environment that people live in. Without places like Mary's Kitchen providing a safe space for us, we couldn't do this type of work.
Logistically, we got a picture of you rolling out your cruiser in the back of your, opening up your cruiser and all your medical supplies. It takes a little while to set up. We've seen you out on the railroad tracks, we've seen you on the street, but from a logistical standpoint, to do your job here, how important is a place, a safe, centered place like Mary's Kitchen to your operation?
We can have longer, calmer conversations. We can, in that moment, because it's more quiet, it's a safer environment. It beats being underneath a bridge, doesn't it? It definitely beats being at a railroad track where I got to watch out for for trains coming. Here, people kind of feel a little calmer. Mary's Kitchen provides that kind of an atmosphere. And we've asked grandmothers and great-grandmothers for years to take on this burden. This is the time that the community comes together, the medical professionals come together, detox experts, drug interventionists, mental health, behavioral health folks. This shouldn't be up to just grandmother anymore. Here is the most beautiful place that we could come together on a regular basis to serve the needs of those who need help.
Save Mary's Kitchen! Save Mary!
What do you say to the argument that the city mounts that Mary's Kitchen has not been, I guess they would say a team player, getting on with the program that the city and that the county have for the homeless of Orange County and for the city of Orange?
Sure, that's a great question. That message needs to be displayed more clearly to Mary's Kitchen, and also give us some suggestions also. We can have suggestions, but maybe the city needs to come along and give some suggestions on what is the best way to help out with the homeless community. It's just not kicking them out and kicking them off the street and closing Mary's down, because you will still, like I said, you'll still have the homeless community in the city of Orange. They will not get rid of them.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, I got some pictures.
Since the city of Orange filed its termination notice, On June 18th, an outpouring of support from stakeholders, friends, and concerned citizens of many cities around the county have expressed their outrage over the looming eviction of Mary's Kitchen. And when they can, directly to the Orange City Council itself.
My name is Matthew McAnena, and I am the oldest great-grandchild of Mary McAnena, the founder of Mary's Kitchen. At 82, an age when most people would be enjoying retirement, she saw a need in the community and took it upon herself to feed and clothe those less fortunate. In her own words, here we are in the richest country in the world, and people are hungry and sleeping in the streets. She started by feeding one family, then a few dozen, and soon hundreds of people in need came to Hart Park for a warm meal and compassion. My great-grandmother continued to work at Mary's Kitchen and serve those less fortunate until she passed away in 2003 at the ripe old age of 100. Since then, Gloria Cease, who has been with Mary's Kitchen for over 27 years, has selflessly led an incredible group of volunteers that continue her mission. Mary's Kitchen is more than just a soup kitchen. In addition to providing 3 square meals a day, they provide laundry, mail services, showers, clothing, medical services, hygiene supplies, along with many other services. They provide all this with no government funding and a staff of volunteers that freely give their time week after week. Mary's Kitchen is such an integral part to addressing the needs of the homeless in Orange that it is the only private organization listed on the city's website on their homelessness information and resources page. To shut down all of these services in the middle of a global pandemic without any plan to supplant them is both irresponsible and inhumane.
7 years ago, my life was devastated, suffered multiple devastations, which left me out on the street, homeless, jobless, and by my bad choice of my own, addicted to drugs. In my transition from being that person to rising up and being the person that I am today, Mary's Kitchen was my lifeline and is now my supplier in my very own ministry of feeding the homeless, which I have been doing for 2 years. Closing Mary's Kitchen is issuing the homeless community a death sentence.
Mary's Kitchen doesn't solve homelessness. It would take not only cooperation and compassion from local governments, as well as federal governments, but also enormous efforts from countless people around the world to curb this epidemic. But Mary's feeds hundreds and hundreds of citizens in this city, in our city. Mary's shows us a place to start. The amount of people sick, starving, and suffering remains the same, maybe even grows when you move them from city to city, when you attempt to hide them, when you close down homeless kitchens, when you take away their safe havens. Let's practice compassion in the city of Orange. Please save Mary's Kitchen.
I can't believe that you're actually considering shutting down Mary's Kitchen. What is wrong with you? You have no soul. When you sleep in the middle of the night, I want you to wake up and imagine what it's like to not have a bed, to not have food, to not have a phone. Try not to be emotional, but your actions are killing people already. When you send your law enforcement officers out there to constantly harass the homeless, give them tickets, and I've seen them given tickets in front of my eyes that are false tickets, where you charge somebody for you cite them for not having 3 feet, and I have a photo that they had 3 feet. When your officers are given orders to harass the homeless, you're killing them. I remember what it was like when we cared about people in the United States, when we cared about people in the city of Orange, in the city of Anaheim, in Orange County. We used to love people. What happened?
Thank you very much.
If your intention really is to protect the homeless population, to give them better lives, then I don't understand how you can in good conscience do what you say that you're doing. I don't understand how Mary's Kitchen can cease to exist and how you can say that that's in the best interest of the people that you're looking out for. And I will continue to ask you that question. People in the city of Orange will continue to ask you that question because it doesn't make sense.
Mayor and members of the council. I'm Pastor James Dollins of Anaheim United Methodist Church. I'm also the coordinator of a group that's come together spontaneously, the Friends of Mary's Kitchen, 37 members of the city of, residents of the city of Orange, various religious leaders, and also we have members of the family of Mary McAnena who are a part of our group as well. We've had several meetings. Some have been held at our church. Of course, the ministries of Mary's Kitchen go well beyond the bounds of Orange. They serve many different people in our area. And we are convening our group with the intent to do everything in our power to ensure that Mary's Kitchen services never come to a halt, but continue to thrive and serve our neighbors who are the most in need. Mary's Kitchen is treasured by our church and by our community precisely because it serves those who fall through the cracks of all the other support systems of society. And Gloria Cease, as we've mentioned, has a calling and a gift for this. She is right next to Mother Teresa in my book. It's been an honor to become her friend and supporter.
Well, it needs to be clearly stated that if the termination order goes forward and Mary's Kitchen is forced to evacuate from their current location, hundreds of people will go without food. My congregation, along with Friends of Mary's Kitchen, which represents various congregations, various religious leaders, numerous residents of this area, we all feel that this is not an option whatsoever. Mary's Kitchen for decades has cared for the least of these, our sisters and brothers. It has been there for people when no other city agencies have been there for people. If it fails, people will suffer and they will die, most probably. So we're here to say that this is entirely unreasonable to issue this termination order. In just about 1 month, they would have to evacuate the premises and people would be devastated. There would be great suffering. And we can't stand by while that kind of human suffering takes place. We are asking that this termination order be rescinded. We're also asking that the prior agreement that was made between the city manager and the management for Mary's Kitchen be honored. And that agreement was that Mary's Kitchen be allowed to operate on Struck Avenue at least through 2024. For some reason, that agreement has been changed.
That is the written agreement.
Inexplicably, that is that is the agreement that they have established with the management of Mary's Kitchen. So that was already agreed upon, that was in place, and for some reason that has been changed. So we're upset by that. We don't know why that was done. It was done just this past June. And this gives, of course, Mary's Kitchen not nearly enough time to even think about planning for the future. So not only does it make it likely that people will fall through the cracks, it nearly guarantees that people will be devastated and that people will be traumatized and suffer much more than is necessary. We need time, and we need for Mary's Kitchen to be allowed to stay in operation at that site.
Despite the rising public outcry, the Orange City Council remains unmoved, and so far in support of their city manager's decision to evict Mary's Kitchen from their property in September. And in fact, reported out in the last moments of a recent city council meeting, a unanimous vote to back the termination notice.
And I look forward to seeing you all soon, and we're adjourned to the next regular meeting.
Mayor, if I could?
Yes.
One thing before we adjourn. Could I report out on one item in closed session,
Oh,
please?
absolutely. That's right. You mentioned it to me earlier, and I forgot to mention to do that. I appreciate it.
Quite all right. I will be brief. I just wanted to report out from closed session. The City Council unanimously confirmed the actions of the city manager and staff in terminating the license agreement between the city and Mary's Kitchen. And that included the direction that was given by council in closed session as well.
Very good. Thank you for that. And again, thanks to all my colleagues for the continued attention and the rest.
For its part, Mary's Kitchen and her presiding matriarch, Gloria Cease, have remained resolved to the proposition that they are not going anywhere anytime soon. And you can bet neither are the homeless, who depend upon this place to be here. Nobody knows that better than Gloria herself.
Okay, talking to a very busy Gloria Cease, CEO of Mary's Kitchen. Gloria, every day is a new day around here, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, and that excitement is taking a notch up these days as we close in on that termination date that the City of Orange has imposed on Mary's Kitchen in the middle of September. You don't have a lot of time left. Mary's Kitchen has got to come up with a plan to save itself, a plan to ultimately save the homeless that frequent Mary's Kitchen every single day. What is that plan? Is there a plan? I think there are a lot of folks out in the community, in the advocacy community for the homeless, in the faith-based community want to know, does Mary's Kitchen have a plan?
Our plan is to stay here until we find another place that we can operate in. And that was what we told the city, that as soon as, and we have gone out and looked, but there's no place that's quite right for us. You know, we really are in a very good location. We're down the street from the police department. We're back by a railroad track. We're not in full view of too many places. And it's the place where the city made us move in 1994 because they thought it was a perfect place for us also.
Yeah. You have made, you said to us the other day that Mary's is so much a part of the city of Orange that Orange is the place you need to be, is the place you should be. You still feel that way?
I still feel that way because every service club, every church, Chapman College, anyone who has done their volunteer hours usually have done it at one time or another at Mary's Kitchen. So Mary's Kitchen really belongs to the whole city of Orange. And we've been happy here.
Yeah. You've said perhaps as a fallback position, you say you don't want to close Mary's Kitchen down, certainly until, if and when you're able to find a place to go to.
Right.
And I take it you found no such place.
No, and we've looked at several restaurants, but they wouldn't have been adequate. And we cannot close Mary's Kitchen without immediately opening from one transition to the other. We cannot close down because people will be confused of where we are, and all our vendors will be, we have to pick up every day from our vendors, and we've been here so long, everybody knows where Mary's is, and this is the place that we should be, except if God opens a wonderful door to another place. We would go. It isn't. We'd like to stay in Orange, but that's not only because that's where our history is. That's where Mary started. We started here, and we've been here all these years. But that doesn't mean that we aren't open to other possibilities.
Assuming they do come out on or about the 18th and lock those gates, will you still be serving?
We'll be serving. We'll be serving until we have another place to go to. Okay. We'll be serving at this location until we have another place to go to.
So you're going to just act as if those gates are not going to close on.
Those gates are not going to close until we have another place to go to.
Is there anything you'd like to reach out and say, particularly to the religious community or the homeless advocacy community that we know is out there, we know is active and supportive of Mary's Kitchen? What would you like to say to them?
Well, we're meeting with the religious groups on the 26th of this month, and we've met once, and now we're just coming back with our plan of action. Everybody who's interested in saving Mary's can just follow us online, and you'll know what we're doing. And they can always contact me direct, which is gloriacease@hotmail.com. and then they'll get on the email list. And we have Instagram, and we have Facebook, and then we have the young people doing all the social media. And we have over 7,000 signatures in our favor, and we have many letters that are going into the council, and we're having them sent directly to the council so that it becomes a matter of public record. And we just have many plans of what to do. You notice we're all wearing buttons. Save Mary's Kitchen's button. And we plan to have yard signs, and we plan to have a vigorous campaign.
Okay.
And we hope all the faith-based and the advocacy groups will join us.
Okay. And if they lock those gates on September 18th, will you be out there at those gates?
I will be out there at those gates, and I know that I will have many other people with me. They're not going to lock the gates.
All right.
Okay.
Mary Cease? We'll end on that positive note.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary's Kitchen will continue to serve its clientele. And from this place, as it has done so for over the last 2 decades, serving the less fortunate, no matter what their condition or status might be. As Gloria says, until the day, if and when, they come to lock these gates, Mary McAnena would do no less.